I was wondering whether or not I was going to make this video, and if you give me a moment of your time, you'll understand why. Obviously, we've just come off of Villainous October. We've just had our Halloween, our all of our fun and games. But the day after Halloween for me is it's a hard one. Specifically because in 2012, I received a phone call that I, in all of my life, didn't think that I was ever going to get. In 2012, I was in a previous relationship that I admittedly made some very serious mistakes in. I am not ashamed to be truthful about that. I'm ashamed of what I did, but in the process of the things that I did do, I ended up meeting some people, and one person in particular, a young man by the name of Cameron Vella, who moved down from Queensland to Sydney for a short spell, and we ended up living together for a while. He was a bubbly individual, so funny, the cutest thing, in a crazy time in my life where things were really sort of dark and depressing and sometimes even scary. Spending time with Cam was some of the best that I could have possibly asked for. He became a backup dancer for a very popular drag queen on the Sydney scene for a time there, was getting to the point where he was starting to choreograph routines for himself and the troupe. And I would be sitting there, listening to music or playing video games or whatever it is, and he'd be over there racking his brain, choreographing the sequences that he wanted to put together. It was the one benefit of the apartment that we did have, was the giant mirror wall, so that he could focus on everything that he was doing. We didn't get to go out too much, if only because of work schedules conflicting, but the time that we did spend together was always time well spent, and we always had a lot of fun whenever we were in each other's company. One of the things that was learned relatively early on was that Cam was suffering from depression, and had done for a very long time, for various reasons. And it did worry me, and yet at the same time I was also so far removed from it that I didn't end up feeling like I was doing enough. But a lot of that is what is known as hindsight regret, and I have sort of come to terms with that. That doesn't stop me from wishing that I could have been more supportive in that time. I'm guessing you have probably figured out with the way that I'm talking that you already know where I'm going with this. Right before the end of October, Cam did a little bit of soul searching, went and saw some family out west, and came back and decided that he was going to go back to Queensland and eventually come back to Sydney and maybe stay here. But he needed to spend some time back amongst his Queensland folk before he did that. I took him to the airport and said my goodbyes to him, and I'll see you later, and hopefully we'll be able to go to like Mardi Gras together or something. A week later, I ended up with a phone call from an acquaintance of somebody that I had been involved with at the time who was a mutual friend of Cam's. And he called me and told me that Cam had passed away that day on November 1st. I was heartbroken, devastated. I didn't know what to do with myself. There's a thing called survivor's guilt, where you think of all of the different things that you could have done differently had you only gotten out of the car and done this one thing. Maybe it would have changed everything. But you can't do that all the time. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to pay attention to the legacy that they left behind, regardless of how long or how short it was within your life. Mental health is something that has been a major factor in a lot of things that I have done in my life over the last 15 years, I think, give or take. Obviously, mental health was a thing before then, but it played a major factor in a lot of the decisions and actions that took place over the last 15 years. And when you deal with somebody or you know somebody, that would be the better way to put it, that has such severe mental health issues, mental illness, call it what you will, mental challenges when it comes to depression and self-esteem and all of these different things. Mental health is a terminal illness, and while it may not necessarily be the thing that kills you directly, it will always be there. And there is always that chance that one day it will get the better of you, and that may be the thing that kills you, but you are stuck with it for life. You can treat the symptoms with medications and therapies, but so much of it is a slippery slope that I've come to hate it, quite honestly. Not necessarily in the way that one might think, but it works for a certain amount of people, but it doesn't work for everybody. And I think that's the thing that we've got to try and keep in mind, is that we can come up with all of the solutions in the world to try and mediate the problems that people have, but we're not solving them. I know a lot of you have probably lost somebody due to something along those lines, some sort of mental health problem, a suicide, something like that. And even then, if it wasn't that, maybe you've just got somebody that you hold dear to you that left before their time. I've lost more people than I actually realized that I cared about in the last few years, and none of them have been easy to cope with. But Cam was the first one that really affected me. So I thought to myself, how am I going to commemorate his life? Not his passing, his life. This November 1st. And with this platform that I have now on YouTube, as small as it may be at the moment, this felt like the way to do it. My girlfriend suggested that I do this song at some point or another, because of its cultural significance to the world of music, and, even to her in such a heavy way. I didn't think that I would be doing it this way, but looking back on it, I can't think of any way that I wouldn't have done it like this. 3 years ago, a singer by the name of Chester Bennington passed away. Linkin Park was his band. During a time where a number of different artists were going through a hell of a lot, we had lost Chris Cornell and a few others over that time, and Chester was another one. And he was suffering from depression and mental health issues himself, and it caught up with him. The terminal illness that got him was his own depression and his own demons. And the reason why I can turn around and say that somebody can look completely fine like a week before or a month before anything happens is because I've lived it. There's a video online that you can find relating to Chester Bennington. He did a carpool karaoke Linkin Park special for Apple TV, I think it was. That was filmed 2 weeks before he passed. And he looked like he was having a ball. He was having such a fun time. But that doesn't stop anything. Cam was sharing photos of going out and partying with his friends, even up to 2-3 days before he left. Just because you're having a good time on the outside does not mean that everything is okay on the inside. So that's the reason why I'm doing One More Light today. And I've decided that every year, for as long as I'm doing YouTube, I will re-record this song as a reminder. And I'm going to mark this video with a hashtag that, for those of you that are watching, can use when you're sharing this video, and I want you to share it. If anything, just for yourself. For those of you who have lost somebody, it doesn't have to be to mental health. It could have been to cancer. It could have been to just being their time. Whoever it was, whenever it was, it doesn't matter how long it's been. It's always going to hurt whenever it comes up. You just learn to deal with it better as time goes on. The hashtag to put into any of your sharing for this video is hashtag #CVelaDay, which you'll see down here. Write it up, hashtag #CVelaDay, and leave a comment about who you remember, who you miss. Hashtag #CVelaDay. I remember this person because they did this for me way back when, and I lost them then, but I never forget. Whatever it is, just share it. Let people know that you care. I want this video, and I want this movement specifically. Not for myself, but for everybody that has lost somebody, and for anybody that is feeling lost, so that they can see that even though it isn't the people that are sharing this that they may know that are saying anything about them specifically, they know that people do care about them, because other people care about the people that they've lost. And on that point, while I turn around and I say that I have my problems with the way that mental health is dealt with here and anywhere in the world, really, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. Don't be afraid to talk to someone. It doesn't... If you can find a therapist that can sit and talk with you and understand what you're going through, then great. If it's just your closest friend who will listen for 5 minutes while you bawl your eyes out because the world has gotten too much, do it. While I worry about how medications affect people, if that's what it's going to take, then at least try. It may not be the thing, and the last thing that I want you to do is suddenly become a guinea pig for every other pharmaceutical company in the world while they try and figure out how to help people. But that may not necessarily be the answer, but if it feels like it may be an option, give it a shot. As a final point, because I've been rambling for way too long, it's almost been 20 minutes, I think. I want you to know something, all of you who are watching this, and it doesn't matter if you're the person that is missing someone, or if you are somebody that is lost and looking for answers. If you're hurting for any reason, if the world is getting too much, if depression is one of those things that just eats at you all the time, I love you. For the fact that you are here and that you exist. I may have never even met you. I may never meet you. I may never speak to you in person. I can always, if you leave me a comment, I will write back. Just know that I don't have to know you to care. I don't have to know you to want to make sure that you're alright. But like I said, I'm going to be doing this song every year, November 1st. And I'll always put it at the beginning of the day so that it has a whole day to process, so that people can share it. And I'll mark the hashtag as hashtag #CVella Day and the year that it is. So in this case, hashtag #CVella Day 2020. Share the video and use it as your candle in the darkness to remember the people that you've lost. Like I said, it doesn't have to be to mental health issues. It doesn't have to be to suicide. It could be from anything. The important part is the fact that you remember them. I'm sorry that I've been rambling for so long, but honestly, I didn't know what I was going to do when I got on here and started talking. Just know that this isn't just some attempt to get more views, more attention for profiteering, whatever. I don't make any money off these videos. I never will, not directly off of YouTube. Even once I get to like 100 subs or 1,000 subs or 1,000,000 subs, these cover song videos are never going to make any money here on YouTube. That's not what this has ever been about. But for all of you that are out there right now struggling, and this year has been a rough one, and has probably brought more people into the world of depression than ever before. There's advertising campaigns everywhere for reaching out and speaking to somebody because you're isolated and alone. But even if you are, and I never meet you ever, just know that I love you and that I care. Thanks for listening. After this song, I'll see you in the next one, which will be Friday. Should have stayed. Were there signs I ignored? Can I help you not to hurt anymore? We saw brilliance when the world was asleep. There are things that we can have but can't keep. If they say, who cares if one more light goes out in the sky of a million stars? It flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If a moment is all we are, or quicker, quicker. Who cares if one more light goes out? Well, I do. The reminders pull the floor from your feet. In the kitchen, one more chair than you need. Oh, and you're angry, and you should be. It's not fair. Just 'cause you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. If they say, who cares if one more light goes out in the sky of a million stars? It flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If a moment is all we are, or quicker, quicker. Who cares if one more light goes out? Well, I do. Sky of a million stars. Oh, it flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If a moment